Let me introduce you to our guest today, Carrie Kotowski. First of all, thanks for coming in. Great to meet you. And so you are a friend and an instructor, from what I understand, from a guest we had on just a couple of weeks ago, Dan Newberry.
Correct.
How do you and Dan know each other?
Yeah, so he is one of our black belt students too. In
I
the
love
class.
it.
Yes.
Again, so just met
So
him.
he's
He just got done doing the MR 340. So that in itself was amazing. But then his family members said, oh, you got to meet Carrie. Carrie is his instructor and you're going to love her. So we're going to talk about her Taekwondo instructing and coming back from Barcelona. We're also going to talk about her being an interior designer, like two completely different worlds. Let's start, first of all, you just came back from Barcelona, just what, a week or two
Correct.
ago?
2 weeks ago, actually, today, yes.
Okay, so tell us about, again, it's the ITF?
The ITF, correct. So it's a little different than the WTF, which is in the Olympic sparring, so we can actually punch to the head. So it kind of changes the strategy a little bit. So knockouts are allowed, but we do have it's sparring and patterns and power breaking and specialty breaking are the 4 categories that you can compete in or qualify in.
Okay, and so you got involved in Taekwondo when you were, what, 13?
About 13 years old, yes.
What
Yes.
again, and this is to inspire all of the young kids that are getting ready to start back to school and thinking of after school activities, etc. Hey, mom, dad, maybe I want to get involved with that. So what
Yes.
drew you initially, and then what's made you stay in it all these years?
Yeah, it's funny. I got a flyer at school. I was a dancer growing up, so I mean, just the coordination, balance, and then adding that power element to it was amazing to me. A great stress reliever, and then I just kind of continued to just fell in love with it and just never quit.
From a dancer to Taekwondo, right? Well, there's a lot in dancing and a lot in Taekwondo that kind of has a similar nature in itself. Do you have 2 daughters?
I do.
Are
Twin
they
girls.
also involved in Taekwondo?
They are not. No, they're not. I don't want to force it on them, so maybe they'll eventually, come around.
How
So
old are they?
they are 10
10
years old.
Okay,
Yes.
so you never know, right? As a parent, you don't want to force something that you did just because you have such a passion for it. But what do they say about mom being able to be as strong and incredible as you are?
I know. I don't think they're that impressed, actually, to be
No?
honest.
They have to be
So,
impressed by these
I know.
amazing medals.
They said I had to come back with the gold, and so I got so.
Well, so
Yeah.
okay, so if you're just tuning in, Carrie Kotowski, so Barcelona, Spain. Tell us about your experience. And again, we've got a ton of medals here. Some of them are from Barcelona,
Correct.
and then others are from where?
From Argentina and then Amsterdam. A
Those are
couple
some huge
Belgians,
medals.
too.
You could hit somebody with those. So tell us about Barcelona.
Yeah, so it was the tournament was 4 days. I competed in patterns and sparring individually, and then I was selected on the 7-person women's team. So we have the team events for that. So team patterns, and then there's power breaking, team sparring, and the specialty breaking. So I went on the first day, competed in the individual events, and then I got gold in sparring and silver in patterns. And then our team events were at the end. And then we got 4 bronze in all our team events.
Congratulations.
So-
All right. I couldn't stand up. We're looking at some videos, by the way, of how many competitors were there?
So they were over about 700 competitors from, I would say, 25 to 30 different countries that come over, and they, they host this about every 2-3 years, the World Championship. So this year, Barcelona, Spain is where it was. And
So, so while you're there, and obviously you're mentioning people from all over, tell us about because whenever, we get a chance to watch Olympics and things like that, right? We look at all the countries come together, and that's really the most beautiful thing. It really makes you emotional when you say, see, we all can blend together.
Yes.
This is the thing that pulls us all together.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of what keeps me drawing back, like competing at these tournaments, is that you meet people from all over the world, and then you get to see, hang out with them afterwards. So one day you're punching each other in the face, the next day you're sharing laughs together. It's kind of the great thing. It's like Taekwondo is the universal language. You may not speak each other's language, but we do the same patterns. We understand the Korean terminology. It's kind of just the bond that unites everybody together.
That is so funny. One day we're punching each other in the face, and the next it's like, hey, let's go out and have some food together. So from Taekwondo to other aspects of martial arts, can you break that down for us? Because we've got some people that we work with here, and we were mentioning something to do with jujitsu, and then we said something about Taekwondo, and they're like, oh, no, it's not the same. And I was like, okay, so is there anything that has a common thread?
I mean, I just kind of the discipline in it. The ITF, the patterns are just kind of unique in itself, where you can identify, compared to any other martial art, just they call it the sine wave when we do our patterns. And so that brings that power. You don't have to be a large person to, demonstrate the power. You have the physics aspect of it. So that kind of is different than a lot of the jujitsu. Now we do have like our self-defense and we have our entire curriculum where we do some groundwork and some throws, self-defense as well. So it kind of, covers the whole gamut there.
Again, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Carrie Kotowski, world champion. Again, bringing in the hardware for us today, just back from Barcelona, Spain. That's the thing. So I will see, or I know I've got family members or friends whose children are involved, and they introduce them to karate. They introduce them to Taekwondo. Is it pronounced Muay Thai?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, grappling, jujitsu, all of that. So I look at all of those and figure that there's a lot of similarities. But again, because I don't know, and this is why I wanted to bring Carrie in. So in the nature of it all, are some more offensive, some more defensive? Explain that to me.
Yeah, there are. I mean, it kind of derives. All martial arts kind of started and derived. And say from Taekwondo for Shotokan, we go back in the early days. So they all kind of derived from that early, martial arts, and then kind of broke off from there.
Okay.
Taekwondo was developed. General Che was a general in the military, so that's kind of where that started. So we have our offensive and defensive, of that. So
Modalities, yeah.
yes.
So how long has Taekwondo been around? Do you know?
Gosh, it was 100 years as we kind of celebrated
Really?
recently. So
It's fascinating to me. And you just mentioned again, it doesn't matter the size. You might have some really huge people that are just muscular, right? And then you've got this tiny little thing. That's got to be scary for someone, especially the young kids that are getting involved, right? They might have somebody that's the exact same age as them, and they're like, "Oh, mom, I'm scared by this." How do you break that fear?
You kind of break it down. Yeah, we don't start out, sparring or throwing, a child in there and kind of going at each other, so we kind of break it down in the fundamentals, where they kind of understand, we kind of want to talk to them in a way where they can, understand the patterns and all that. Self-defense too. We'll start out with like some grabs, some, arm grabs and same side cross hand grabs, just to kind of build that confidence. And we've had kids that have been very shy starting, and then that just, you see them as they grow, build that confidence, even over a month's time. And then they have to test in front of somebody, and that kind of, gives you that confidence too, even in the real world, even at school. If you're shy, you build that confidence, and it's neat to see the kids grow and develop in that way.
That's
and
my
they're
favorite
kind of
thing, Carrie,
surprised.
about team sports is that how it goes from the sport that they're in, again, whether you're a child or maybe you find this as an adult, how it helps you in the real world.
Yes.
Right? What the sport does from socialization, of building that friendship, camaraderie, the things that it teaches that we apply to life. What from you doing it from
Yes.
13 to now, what have you learned that is the transfer into your personal life?
Yeah, I mean, it just even, competing just on that aspect, because I mean, you're bound to get nervous no matter what. Our coaches tell us it's kind of how you learn to fly with those butterflies, and you have to build a familiarity with that. If you speak in front of people at work or your job, build that confidence. Through really, through everyday life, and then training and developing, over setting a goal over a period of time, kind of just transfers into, again, everyday life or at your job or, your career. So it's kind of helped me, I think. I have to talk in front of people and give presentations at work. And so I just be assertive, and that has helped me over the years as well, kind of just to take stage and
See,
and
so
do that.
again,
So
parents, as you're watching this and sharing it with your family and friends, this might be something that you want to get the kids involved in. Because again, a lot of the kids starting back yesterday, today. They're back in school. They're trying to find their way. If they're shy, they're introverted, maybe this will help them get out of it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about more about what she's been through in her decades of doing Taekwondo and instructing, and where you might be able to take a class from her. I want you to break it down of how it starts, because it's never made sense to me, of the color belts and then the color on the tip of the I was like, what? I'm so confused. All right, more with Carrie Kotowski when we return. And welcome back again. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Monica Adams Show. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We love to give you inspiration and hope. Again, introducing you to new things. Taekwondo, I've never featured, by the way, in my entire career. Carrie Kotowski is in with us. That's crazy to me. I covered sports for a long time, but I've gone to my nephew because he was involved in it. I think one of my dear friends' kids was involved, but I've never in all my years ever done an interview about Taekwondo. I was like, what? Come on. Okay, so I went into the break talking about understanding it all. So as someone gets involved, let's say that you've got parents saying, okay, I've always considered maybe getting my son or daughter involved in this. Tell us and walk us through, because you are an instructor.
Yes.
Where do you teach, by the way?
Yeah, so it's at the St. Charles Parks Department. We're at the Blanchette Park. We're just a part-time school, but we don't require any contracts or anything. So you can come in and try us out, and continuous program.
Oh, that's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get involved and they're just starting, do they have to wait to get into anything?
No, they can. Okay. Yeah, they can just sign up through the St. Charles Parks Department on the website to sign up, or our Facebook page is the ITF Taekwondo St. Charles, my personal Taekwondo page as well. So you can reach out to me too, and I can get you coordinated.
Again, this would be a good woman for you to learn from, because she knows what she's doing. By the way, if you're just tuning in, she just came back from Barcelona, Spain. That's what you're seeing here on the table. There's a lot of medals here. What are you most proud of, before we get into breaking down, again, Taekwondo and how it all starts and how it evolves? Of all the medals, or of everything you've done, Carrie, what are you most proud of?
This final one. So I went into this tournament as kind of the final chapter, knowing this would probably be my last one. And I've been going for the gold in sparring probably for the last 3 tournaments. I got the bronze in Argentina, and then the silver in Amsterdam in 2022. And then so I got the gold this time, and I've went against the same girl from Argentina. We're almost friends outside of Taekwondo. Again, like I said, we kind of, you punch others in the face and then you share laughs. But, that was just a goal of mine, just to set that in. And so I kind of feel like closure, it's the finality.
So you're done?
So I think so. I said probably. I think it's kind of felt, I know. So I feel at peace with it, whatever happens from here on out, just to, focus on family now. And
well, so that's the thing, Carrie. A lot of times you see an athlete, whether it's pro or college or, again, youth sports, and you say, well, hey, I'm aiming for gold, or I'm aiming for that championship. And once you get it, it's, well, let's go out on top. Is that
exactly.
how your mindset
That's
was?
kind of how I feel. Exactly. Yeah. Just kind of, ended on a high note.
Sometimes though, people, think about NFL players, right? They win a Super Bowl and they're like, well, maybe just one more.
Yes.
Right? You get bit by the bug.
I did say that the last 3, it's like, oh, okay. I think.
Do your daughters and your partner say?
They're ready too. I think I was, they've been so great, and I couldn't have done it without them. Just
Right.
like the sacrifice and the time. So they picked up my slack, and so I'm very appreciative of them, because I could not have done it.
Sure.
Training with all.
Well, let's talk. And there's your beautiful family, by the way. So to talk about the devotion and the time of what it takes to really be good at your craft. So if someone's getting ready to start and they're putting their kid involved in this, really, besides being in class with you, how much should they be doing on their own? How much time are they committing?
Yeah, even every day is, ideal, but I know that's not always ideal for smaller kids with school and everything. But even if you can just, 15 minutes at a time, if we run through a pattern or work on some kicks, even while you're watching TV, you could be stretching, or doing that. So I always, tell my kids, just, whenever you can find the time, just a few minutes just to kind of keep it in your head, because it becomes muscle memory. The more repetition you do it. So
That's the only way
Yeah.
they're going to get better.
Mhm.
So I personal train, Carrie, and I always tell my clients, you've got to do your homework,
Yes.
right? Just like when you're in school and you come home and the kids have homework to do. This homework, again, only gets them better. Otherwise, they sometimes will have a little jealousy or animosity when they see others
Mhm.
excel, but they have to understand that they're probably doing which
Yes.
Miss Carrie's asking them to do.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So let's break this down. So if someone's just getting in, they're learning the fundamentals of it all. What
Correct.
is the first achievement that they're going for?
So they're going for, we have our belt rank. So yellow stripe would be what they would be going for. Start out as a white belt,
Okay.
10th cup, and then they'll be testing for a yellow stripe. So, we have kicks that they have to learn for each belt rank. There's a verbal, some Korean terminology, their pattern, and so self defense as well. So each belt rank kind of holds a certain curriculum, and they have to break a board as well. And that board break changes within each rank and kind of gets a little bit more advanced as it goes along. So that kids love breaking boards when they break their
So
first
do big
board.
kids.
Yes, yes, exactly. You feel powerful and strong, and that's such an achievement. In itself, that's kind of when you're first starting out, the smaller kids are favorite thing to do.
Absolutely.
So and it's great to see that.
So that is the part that I wanted to go into. So when you're doing the board breaking, you said again with each rank that they're going up in, does it get thicker? Is there more boards?
It's the same amount. It's the number 2 pine, the 1 inch. It just depends what kick they're going to be kicking with it. So we start out with our front snapping kick was the first break, and then it moves to a side piercing kick, and it's just then we'll stack more as it goes along. As usually not until about blue belt is we'll multiple boards, and depending on the size, if you have an adult that's starting out, they might be able to break more as well. So
they're doing it with kicks. Are they also doing it with their hand?
kicks, not hands, typically not until the advanced, more a black belt, just because their hands are developing and we don't want to damage anything. So just with the feet.
And again, so you said it starts with a yellow stripe?
So white belt, and then yellow stripe is the next they test for, and then it becomes solid, the yellow belt.
Oh, okay. That's the thing I did.
Yes.
So there's stripes, and then
Yes.
is that like what people say is the tip of it?
Some martial arts have the tip, or it'll be all the way around, just depending on the.
So yellow, and then what?
And then green, and then blue, red, and black. So you'll have the in-between colors. The yellow stripe, yellow belt, then green stripe, green belt, blue stripe, blue belt, red stripe, red belt, and then black stripe.
And then black belt.
Yes.
And then there are multiple levels
and then
of black
the
belt?
degrees, correct.
How high does it go?
So 10th degree, that was
Wow.
the general, and that's, President Che. So yeah.
So if we look at from, going through all the colors, yellow and green and what'd you say, blue, yellow, blue, green?
Yeah.
Yellow,
green, blue, red, black.
What is the time frame typically? Because you think about someone wanting to get into this, and all they ever hear, and it's unfortunate that that's sometimes what people think of. I want to be a black belt, right? That's in their mindset. So as they go through that, to stay grounded. So I ask you 2 questions: to stay grounded and stay in the moment and present in the yellow stripe, yellow belt, right?
Yes.
To go through all of that and not to be thinking into the future of the black belt. That's one.
Yeah.
How do you keep them grounded in that? 2, about how long is that to get to the black belt?
Yes. So first question, to kind of keep them, grounded, we do what's called learning stripes. So for that particular, the curriculum, the patterns, and the verbal, we'll do learning stripes, and we'll just put a piece of tape. So we know that you're, ready. Once you have all those learning stripes, we know that you're ready to test. And so that, getting that learning stripe is just kind of an achievement in itself as well. And then they know they're ready, to test. And then I would say, it depends. If you're practicing every day, it could take 4 to 5 years to achieve that first degree rank. And it just kind of varies, per person.
And I stressed this earlier. We're talking about getting kids involved, but I worked with someone when I was at Fox 2, and I remember her getting involved. First of all, there was an incredible achievement of her in a weight loss transformation, right? And that's what I love, is that as someone is getting that weight off of them, and this is for all of you that are on that journey, all the things that are out there for you in the world that you never thought that you could ever even enter into because of all that added weight they had. So she was in this weight loss journey, and then suddenly told all of us that she was getting involved in Taekwondo. I just saw her her post a couple of months ago, I believe. So Stephanie Knight, hello to you. I'm so proud of you for getting her black belt. And I don't know if it's her first black belt or what level she's at, but again, it's the elation of that. And the achievement in your mind, you're not doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for yourself. Even though you want to hear your name shouted. I mean, who doesn't? What athlete doesn't want to hear Kotowski go, right? Gold. But you do it for yourself. And that's, I'm sure, what you teach.
Yes. Yeah. And then really, once you get that black belt, that really kind of is the start of the whole journey. Because then you're breaking down, there's so much to learn and so much to it. It does become a lifelong journey, so.
And you're forever in this and, just getting better and better. So when it comes, and I'm just thinking of all the little kids, when it comes to them breaking their very first board, is it just like this huge smile? I mean, think back when you did it, when you started at 13.
Yes.
And so your first board was being broke at 13?
I was. And actually that first night, I'll never forget my instructor. I broke a board on that first night. He talked to me for a couple hours actually, and I was drawn in and I broke a board on that first night and I was just hooked.
Of course. How can you not be? Again, if you're just tuning in, Carrie Kotowski, if you have any comments, any questions for her, feel free to drop them in now. You can also do a little hashtag replay and ask her any questions. We'll make sure that we get those to her. We're going to, again, break it down. This is her 6th World Championship. So 2007, Brighton, England. 2010, South Korea. 2012, Ottawa, Canada. In 18, it was Buenos Aires, Argentina. 2022, Amsterdam, Netherlands. And then her 6th World Championship came just a couple of weeks ago in Barcelona, Spain. And so we're showing you a bunch of pictures. We told you she truly is a rock star and would inspire you. So if you've ever thought about getting involved, you can learn from this world champion. Again, teaching in St. Charles. You can follow her on social media. You can, again, also look at the website and the social media pages to get in touch with her. Get involved if you've ever thought of doing so. I think I've got the teacher for you right here. All right, don't go anymore. Don't go anywhere. More with Carrie Kotowski when we return. And welcome back again to the Real Monica Adams Show. If by chance you have a topic or a guest that you would like for us to feature on the show, shoot me an email, info@therealmonicaadams.com. That's exactly what Susan Newberry did. And that's how our guest came on, Carrie Kotowski. We're talking about Taekwondo, talking about her coming back and winning again in Barcelona, Spain. 6th World Championship. We just broke those down. Again, the recent tournament hosted by the International Taekwondo Federation. 700 athletes from more than 25 different countries. Team USA, by the way, consisting of 72 competitors from all over the country. They brought home 7 gold medals, 10 silver medals, and 20 bronze medals in the individual competition. So, what kind of celebration was that like?
It was fun. Actually, we were tired afterwards, but we went to dinner and then we did get to travel a little bit, my family and I, afterwards.
Oh, good.
So that was fun.
So it's not
to kind
just
of relax.
compete and then leave.
Go to the beach.
So had you ever been to Barcelona before?
That was my first time.
So what stands out in Barcelona? I've never been there.
There's so much to see. Again, like being a designer, I love architecture.
Yes.
So there's just so much architecture. I'm into the modern architecture and in the churches, the Sagrada Familia is just amazing to see. And so we, tried to fit it all in a few days, but we just have to go back.
Yeah, absolutely. And she just mentioned that she is an interior designer, which we talked about at the very beginning of the show. You've been doing that for how long?
About 20 years, 25 years or so.
How did you get involved in that?
So my mom was an interior designer,
Oh.
and our family vacations, we would visit Frank Lloyd Wright homes, and I think it was
wow.
just maybe in the blood, but I love the design aspect of it. So
Did you walk in here and go, no, I would have done something different?
No.
Whenever I meet an interior designer, I'm like, what do they think? The woman actually who made our painting. So I always wonder how small of a community interior designers are. So do you know Faith Berger by chance?
That name does sound familiar.
Yeah. So she painted this for us. She knew that we're all about Monica Blue. So interior designing. To that and then to Taekwondo, if you had to pick one, what's your greatest passion?
It's hard. It's hard to say. It kind
It's like picking a favorite child,
exactly.
right? That's not
exactly.
fair. So what do you love most about interior designing?
It just kind of the expression, and so I work for Washington University and it's more the commercial aspect, and I've always loved more the commercial side of design, and just just the architecture, really, just the buildings, every building kind of speaks its own language. And so everybody has their certain interests on what style, I kind of tend to be more of that modern style is my favorite, but
Modern.
just, touring the buildings and being able to be part of it is,
So as an interior designer right now, and again, as you mentioned, people sometimes are traditionalists, some people love modern, and then sometimes it's a whole blending of where it is. Where are we
yes.
right now in the world if someone's saying, I want to change some things around, whether it's their business, whether it's personal,
Mhm.
what are you seeing more and more of that you can kind of give us some tips on?
I think more, on the residential side, they call it the resmercial. It's kind of a blend between residential and commercial, and we're seeing it more even on the corporate side or even on our university campus side. Students just want that kind of that cozy, more homey feeling.
Hmm.
So it's more of that residential is creeping kind of into that corporate commercial feel. So again, like they call it resmercial, the
We've got
blend
a new
between the
word,
two.
resmercial. I haven't heard that. What would you tell all of the kids that, because as I said, some of them are just starting back this week, others heading back to college, starting back maybe next week. What
Mhm.
would you, because I'm seeing more and more on Instagram, on TikTok, that their dorm rooms look a heck of a lot different than my dorm room did,
Exactly.
right? So what are you seeing that college kids are doing?
I mean, they are modifying the beds. I'm seeing area rugs. I mean, a lot more. I mean, my dorm, first year of college did not have any air conditioning. We
No.
had probably asbestos floor.
Oh my God.
So, they're really, I mean, it's, a lot of kids now pick colleges or schools based on dorms, to be
Really?
honest. So,
Again, this world has changed so much. Exactly. Ours was, let me put some posters on the wall, right? And we've got
yes.
this bed that is very hard to sleep in. Now it's like this posh luxury that I'm seeing all over the place. So for you in your home, what are you more modern in your own home?
More modern.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So what are we seeing less and less of? So I'm looking at, because we've got a show that we do, Getting Real with Real Estate Executives, right? So Friendship Friday with Dot Fleshman, our real estate executive from Coldwell Banker, she's talking about different changes. And as they do staging, what should they be looking
Mhm.
at? Like what colors are you seeing as we go into fall and winter?
I just warmer, more of that warmer, not the brownish, but the taupes. I'm kind of more on the commercial side, so sometimes not seeing all the latest trends of what's happening in the residential side, but I feel like that warmer, more neutrals,
Mhm. I'm hearing
seeing
less
in
grays, even
less
though gray
grays.
was so
Yes,
popular.
it's becoming. I think that warmer side is the newer color. Going back to that
Again,
warmer gray.
if you're looking for ideas of some things to do, stay in those tones. Interior designing, again, to me, a beautiful art, but we're talking about both of those, from interior designing to Taekwondo. Again, she is the lead instructor for their school in St. Charles Parks Department programs. You can follow them, by the way, on Facebook, ITF Taekwondo St. Charles, Missouri. That's the Facebook page. If you want to follow them on her own personal profile, Carrie Kotowski, she's also on Facebook. And then on Instagram, I love this, at Kapow. It's KPOW 2224. And then ITF Sports and Events. There's, again, an opportunity for you to go on Facebook to see them as well. So what is the youngest that you have in your class?
We typically start about 7 and up just because we're part-time school and so about 7 and up.
What is the age you would say for them to really grasp? Because sometimes, as we mentioned in the very beginning, don't push anything ever on a child. Some people want to get their kids involved in something when they're literally beginning to walk. I mean, I think of
Yes.
covering sports for a long time. I thought of hockey players, and when they were in Canada, they
Mhm.
would say, we probably had skates on our feet at a couple years old. And that's how, if they didn't, they were like, okay, well, you're way behind if you're just putting a kid in hockey at 7, if you're trying to get
Yeah.
them into the NHL, right? But you're kind of sometimes feeling like you're forcing
Yeah.
that. From Taekwondo, what would you say is probably the best age?
Yeah, I think it kind of just depends on the child. I think 7 or 8 is a good age, and if you start earlier, that could be a fine line because they might get bored with it
Right.
or want to stop. So you may have to kind of, encourage. But I think, again, I started at 13, so there really isn't any age, and we have adults starting, just starting
Right.
their journeys out too.
What is
So
the oldest person that you know that got involved in Taekwondo?
we had, let's see, about 75.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
see, age is only a number.
yes.
So, you see people that have this idea when they turn 70, they turn 80, they turn 90, they want to jump out of airplanes, whatever. Let grandma and
Mhm.
grandpa get involved in Taekwondo. I would love to see them breaking a board. Okay, so Carrie mentioned that she thinks this is it, right? So the six world championship, she thinks this is it. She was an individual competitor, by the way. The senior division, 40
Mhm,
plus, competed in sparring. The welterweight
mhm.
division, a gold medal, patterns. So it's Dan black belt. Explain that to me.
Our degree, yes, yes,
It's
6
called
Dan,
Dan
our
Black
6th degree.
Six, okay,
Yeah.
six Dan Black Belt
Mhm,
silver medal. One of the assistant coaches also selected and competed on the 7-person women's team, which is made up of all ages,
mhm.
18 plus, the team events, patterns, sparring, power breaking, specialty breaking. Again, they won bronze in all 4 of the team events. So let's congratulate them.
Mhm.
If you have to run off and again get the kids to school, because I mentioned there's a lot of things rushing around this week with the kids going back, be sure to come back and then share this with your family and friends so that we can congratulate them. Tell me before we wrap up the difference now, because we're talking about this being hosted again by the ITF. This compared to the Olympics, or does this kind of lead to that?
So it is a different style. So the WTF Taekwondo is
Hmm.
they call it the Olympic style, more of the sport Taekwondo.
Okay.
So again, our sparring, ITF is not in the Olympics. At one point, they were trying to, get it to be in the Olympics, but
Yeah.
I think having two might be,
Confusing.
one. So, yeah. So we, in the WTF Olympic, they have just sparring, and they can only make contact and with the top of the foot. So we have in our sparring, what makes it different is we're, can punch to the head, can use other parts of the foot. Knockouts are allowed, which is a little bit different. And then we have the patterns and the other breaking as well.
Do you see
Um,
anybody that's involved in the ITF that go to the WTF also?
I not switched it over, but
No.
like I do have some friends that do, to have a WTF school out in Kansas City, and they, train people to try to go to the Olympics, and
Right.
so,
But
but
again, I mean, it's the same thing. Look at the hardware.
yeah.
It's identical. You should be just
Mhm.
as proud, and it's just as tough as the competition. Unfortunately, it doesn't get as much press as the Olympics
Yes.
do, which is why
Yep.
we wanted to do this with Carrie. So before we wrap up, what is the worst injury that you've had in Taekwondo?
Well, actually, ironically, recently in March at our selection at the end, on one of our power breaks, I hit my foot and kind of had a bone contusion, and my foot was swelled for like a couple weeks or so. So that I had to kind of get past that for this, for this worlds, and that was probably the worst that I've had over the years. So I've been lucky,
Do
blessed,
this.
knock on wood. So, because that's, one of the fears is getting injured right
Right.
before the tournament or a month before. So there's, again, that fine line to try to make
That's
sure you're being
impressive.
healthy and training hard at the same time.
So from outside of your Taekwondo, because a lot of people talk about kind of cross training, what else do you do, or do you strictly do Taekwondo? Do
So
you also
I'm
work out in the gym,
Yeah, I'm
etc.?
a big, huge cyclist,
Okay.
which I haven't gotten to do quite as much because it can be risky, on the road, train, and, if you take one fall, you could break your collarbone.
Right.
So, but I'm looking forward to getting back into that.
She's looking forward to
So,
getting her life back.
so
Right. Personally.
yeah, just running, lifting, but then again, cycling a lot. And I'm looking forward to doing that.
Well, I love it. And I'm so glad that we were introduced to you. I want to thank again Susan and Dan Newberry for introducing us to her. Congratulations again for all of the hardware. And she said she thinks, again, see, there's always room for, oh, hey, guess what, Monica? I got back into it. But she thinks that she's done retiring again on top with
Mhm.
the 6th World Championship, again, the most recent in Barcelona, Spain. So at the end, we always bring faith into our show, by the way. We do these 100 Days to Freedom books, okay? I always let my guests choose. So we have one from Fear and Anxiety, breaking your freedom, getting freedom from fear and
Mhm.
anxiety. One is shame, one is depression, one is anger, and then one is overeating. What are you feeling today for you and the world?
I'm going to choose fear and anxiety.
Yep.
Just
It's the number one that's chosen. All right. Fear and anxiety. We will wrap up with that. We'll also talk about knocking on wood, true Amish hardwood, by the way. This is from Miller Furniture. We'll talk about our collaboration with Miller Furniture when we return. Okay. So Carrie picked the Fear and Anxiety book, which a lot of people choose, 100 Days to Freedom from Fear and Anxiety, Stephen Arterburn. And I had a feeling she'd pick this one because, again, you get involved in Taekwondo and you got some fear. Can I break the board? Can I get that belt that I'm looking for? So you belong to to God, my dear children. You have already won a victory over those people because the Spirit who lives in you is greater than the Spirit who lives in the world. That's 1 John 4, verse 4. You are not alone in your battle with fear or anxiety, even though you might feel as though you're fighting without any help. Our feelings are powerful, but they are not always true. That may seem surprising because in our world, feelings are what is deemed to be truth. Our feelings are important, but they're not the truth. Feelings are expressions of someone's emotional or physical state. So if you look up the word in the dictionary, the definition doesn't mention truth. This isn't to dismiss the validity and the experience of feelings, but it is a reminder that feelings are not always good at giving directions for your life. So let me give you an example here. A young child may have fears at night, and as her parents reassure her that there's nothing to be afraid of, they're able to calm her fears, right? That doesn't negate the child's feelings. It adds truth to her feelings, so she's comforted. Are your feelings your GPS? Are they taking you down winding roads, dead-end streets? Do you feel as though you have no one to share your feelings with who could help you discover what is true? The Holy Spirit is always with us to guide us into truth, so pray for discernment. Seek God's truth in the Bible and connect with godly friends who can provide support for your journey. C.S. Lewis, who I always love quoting, said, "Though our feelings come and go, his love for us does not." Joyce Meyer said, "Remember that we cannot judge the moral value of any action by how we feel. Our feelings are unreliable and cannot be trusted to convey the truth." So here's today's prayer for you. Lord Jesus, help me discern truth through your Holy Spirit. Thank you for your guidance and help me to follow you. Yes, breaking your fear from fear and anxiety. Again, getting you freedom from that. Those books, by the way, are available on Amazon. I got ours at the Crossing down in Chesterfield, so you can pick them up there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Share the show with your family and friends if you've got kids that are interested in getting involved or you yourself involved in Taekwondo. We mentioned Carrie Kotowski could be your instructor, so look her up on social media. And again, just get out of your comfort zone and do what you are meant to do. Bright and early tomorrow morning again at 7 a.m. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, be anything you want to be. You want to be a world champion in your sport, you can do that. But the greatest thing you can be is kind. God bless you all. Have a great day.